Hey there, people, this is Kermit Streamer doing another Path of Exile 2 video. So we're coming back to our minion witch person. I did start playing a ranger solo self-found, and I don't like how this one's going. It's a lightning bolt ranger, and I'm just not having success with it being a very good damage dealer for bosses and stuff. It's great at wave clear and leveling, but for bosses, I'm definitely struggling. But back to our witch. I believe I came on for a short video where we talked about some of our decisions with talents and how we're gonna try to shore up the fact that minions have a weird programming timer for when they die. So we are going to be focusing on getting some minion life boosting abilities. I think I'll go ahead and pull up the tree real quick just to refresh the memory. As soon as we get in game here. We also figured out how to equip Gas Arrow, which is going to be a pretty integral skill for our build, I think. At least in most of Act 1, I'm foreseeing it being a thing. I have found that with a Necromancer or Witch, it is really useful to have lots of different ways to apply damage over time effects, and poison is one. I do think it's going to be something we continue to use, especially for bosses, because as a witch, if you can just keep applying damage over time and then just run around and stay safe, you're going to bring down the bosses eventually. And then whenever you are safe and at a distance, you can hurl spells at them, or just keep your minions chugging away at their life total as they're trying to kill you. So yeah, let's look here. So I think what we decided, we might get these two life boosters because of the support gem that we have on Skeleton Warrior, Minion Instability. Every time we put points in the minion life, it increases the amount of damage that Minion Instability does. So those are going to be useful, but as far as right now goes, I think I'm actually going to wait to pick these up because I want to get over here as fast as I can, because this is a 15% increase in max of life that comes with a 15% reduction in that timer. Sure, that only equates to about a second and a half, or a second. No, it's less than a second and a half, somewhere between a second and a second and a half. Or no, it's more like half a second to a second. But it's still a reduction, and it will add up once we get the ones that are over here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go for cast speed over. Yeah, I think that's where we're gonna instead of going over the top over here, we might pick up the increased damage first, and then we're going to slide over this way. And that may be modified at a later time. We might, as we start to go out this way, we might change that, because it essentially will free up a couple of points, I think, because this trip here is going to take us 6 points to get to this destination. This trip here takes us 8 points to get to this destination. But once we have a lot of these points, and also as we're into Act 2 and Act 3, I have found, at least with my current ranger, that the attribute points do become important at a certain point if you want to start upgrading your skill gems, because the higher level, 6 and above, have some pretty high requirements in your primary attribute. So since that's like one of the simplest ways to scale your character as you progress through the game, it's really important to be able to maximize that and utilize it. And I basically had a whole section of the game where I was about a level under in terms of my abilities because I hadn't applied enough to my attributes. Okay, so we're going to get right to it. We were working on, the last time we played, going through the Grim Tangle. Did we complete that boss? That's a good question. I don't know. So we're gonna come across that boss. You can find that out in the mini-map, I think, when you're on the waypoint screen. But I don't know if there's any way to find it out when you're actually in level. So we're going to take a look at that real quick, see if we can. So tab gets us the map on the screen. Maybe we can pull up the world screen here. Yeah, it's not going to allow us to actually teleport on the world screen, but it is going to show us what we've done. And it does look like we killed, I think, yeah, I guess we killed the rotten druid before we quit, one of the last times we played. So we've done the Grim Tangle boss and gotten the benefit from killing him, which I think was 20 extra hit points, I'm not sure. Oh, that's actually, no, that's the guy in the Candlekeep, the guy in Ganor's Manor, something like that. That guy gives you 20 extra life. I'm not sure, I don't remember what the druid gives you, but we've gotten it. So. No worries there. I don't think I'm going to be picking up lights. I don't know if this was a thing that I was doing before. Since this is not solo self-found, we're getting to use the... Or is it solo self-found? Is there a quick way to find that out? Options. I'm not sure. You know what? For the time being, until we know whether we're solo self-found, we'll just pick up and sell dang near everything. I am going to talk about some additional stuff that I kind of learned over the weekend about how I should be managing my inventory control a little bit better, and I wasn't doing these things, so there's just so much to keep track of with this game that you hardly can be blamed for missing small details. This is one of those few games where it really pays off to just spend an afternoon checking out what other content creators have done as far as like best practices for how to advance in the game quickly and do things efficiently and effectively. I mean, it's not a competitive game, so I hesitate to say that it's essential, but it's just one of those things where when you first pick up this game and start playing, there are a lot of little decisions you'll make, and before those decisions become codified and something that you automatically do as like a heuristic, you really should see what other people have to say on it. Unless you're fine with just saying, I know what to do. Like, if you're fine with playing a game and potentially, giving away something super important that may hinder your development later, then just go with it, man. Have a good time. That's how I started with this game for the first week I was playing. Is I just did things, played around, experimented, and it took me 3 weeks before I even realized I could use a skill gem from another class. And if I did a lot more research on the front end, if I had been watching developer videos and things like that, then I would have known that to start, but I don't devote that much time to this. It's a hobby. We're not going to fight this guy, because we fought him already. He might have some good loot, but it's just going to take a bunch of time, and I don't know that the experience gains are going to be worth it. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to get through this zone so that we can go to the next zone, progress, try to maybe, if not get into Act 2 right now, then get closer to Act 2. Oh yeah, we won't get to Act 2 yet. We have the whole manor part to do, so we might be able to get to Ogim. That's the zone. Oh no, we're definitely not going to get that far, because the cemetery has 2 tombs in it and 2 bosses that you have to defeat to progress. So here we go, Cemetery of the Eternals. That's our target. We're going to go here, and this is your kind of pretty standard zone. It's got 2 crypts in it and some treasure, I think, and maybe a boss. Can't remember if it had a boss. I think it just has some special loot that you can find. But yeah, we got the 2 tombs that we were going to have to kill the 2 sort of people at. We're going to learn that this guy's family has disappeared and he wants to find them. We need to get the keys basically for this gate. So we got to go kill some people. Some bad guys. All the things. Resurrecting all the dead stuff. What are we gonna find right here? Boring stuff. We could listen to that, but we're not gonna bother. What do we get here? Maximum mana. Sure, we don't have something else. One of the things we're going to do as we find items in the wild, the final boss for this zone is a pretty beefy dude that is hard to fight with a squishier character. Very hard, actually. And one of the ways we can sort of pre-equip ourselves for that fight and increase our odds of doing well is by prioritizing pieces of equipment that have cold resistance. So I'm going to be looking for things that have cold resistance and valuing those things more highly. If I find some good pieces that have lightning or fire or chaos, I might just hold on to those. But at this point, cold resistance is the thing we want. There are a couple of bosses on the way that may do some other types of damage that could be, you know, situationally helpful. But in order to get through that final fight, we're going to have to make sure that we've got our cold resistance to some level of decency here. So again, I think, yeah, we decided it's going to take us a couple less steps to get through the casting speed part of our skill tree, so that's where we're going to put our first skill point. I forgot what I wanted to check in town. Yeah, so we'll do casting speed over mana regeneration. Oh, no, we were going to grab this first, the increased damage first. So let's go ahead and continue with that, because this is a tremendous boon to both our attack damage and... Not that we're really using attack damage, I don't think. Okay, so once you come to town, you do the things. Let's first off check, see if we're solo self-found. We are solo self-found, so the interesting thing about this is it does mean that we're sharing a pool with my other solo self-found character, which my ranger is, so I've been doing a lot of work to sort of build the economy of this team of characters. So that does give me the opportunity to talk about some neat stuff with your inventory management. So these orb of transmutation and orb of augmentation, you get 1 billion of these. So anytime you have an instance of like dying or having trouble clearing an area, you can feel free to use these whenever you want. So I'm going to go ahead and just stack my augmentations on my magic items. So a normal magic item has basically a space for 2 affixes. So, you know, really anytime you get anything, it's a good idea to use it. So this thing here, the transmutation, will turn a normal item, white, into a magic item with an affix. So we've done that there. We're going to add 1 more affix to it. Just a minor way to give us a little bit of a tiny boost to our character. Oh yeah, that's a special one anyway. And if we wanted to right here, we could go ahead and use some of this other stuff. I'm not going to use this stuff now because it's early in the first act. We're level 7, level 8, and we're going to find much better stuff. And a lot of times in this game, actually, it's kind of cool. You will find white items that, especially at certain phases of the game, that are kind of better than the ones that you currently are running. So I'm going to go ahead and swap this this guy out, and we're going to go ahead and make it magic right now because we're going to have 1 million of these. We're going to get 1 million more, so we should feel not the least bit bad about throwing stuff into here. So this is cool. This scepter gives allies in your presence 2 to 3 additional attack cold damage. Now that's allies. I don't know if that means minions too. So let's check if there's anything on our panel here about minions getting some cold damage. It doesn't look like it. We naturally get some chill duration from these guys attacking, but one of the things I'm going to look for, just out of curiosity here, is if I see like any animations that imply that we're getting cold damage from these as well. One thing that sucks about that scepter that I just picked up and started using is it does not have the increased spirit modification, so I'm just going to get rid of it because that increased spirit modification gave us the ability to hire 1 more, or to run 1 more skeletal sniper, and that's actually going to help a lot in the long term too. With once we get our arsonist, then we're going to be able to have a diversified army, and pretty much the only way to combat, I think, the minion timer issue is by doing that. I'm going to run and fill up my coffee real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright, so then one of the other things you want to look for is this salvage bench thing. I don't have anything in my inventory that can use it right now, but anytime you find a socketed item, be it white, blue, yellow, whatever, you're going to want to go and salvage. I'll tell you why, or I'll show you why later, but I'll tell you why now. It is because you're going to get pieces like this, and really what you're really wanting is this Artificier's Orb, because that will allow you to put sockets into other items that you pick up later or modify to having cool abilities later. So, and you don't really get a lot of those unless you're doing that job. I also personally think it's good to disenchant with Una any yellow or better items. I'm not going to disenchant this one because we're going to get a transmutation shard from it, and transmutation shards are these guys right here that become orb of transmutation. These are things that you find so much of, it's not that great to have more of them. I'd say regal shards are also really good. You want a lot of those, but getting a lot of these isn't that special, because you're gonna find them naturally anyway, and you're gonna find these naturally anyway when they're drops on enemies that you kill. The orb of augmentation. Let's see, where does that come from? Oh, those are, you just find those also in the wild a ton. So being able to put things on your slots on your items is really important, because then you can put runes into them. And runes are going to be just a great way to just give a little bit of a extra bonus to some of your items, especially when you're just trying to squeeze out that little bit of extra damage that you may need to progress or be stronger. Okay, so since I have a decent amount of shared money on this solo self-found character now, what I'm going to go ahead and do, I have a missing item slot. I'm not wearing a belt, so we're going to go ahead and buy the best belt we can find. I don't know if I've just ignored the fact that I should have found a belt by now, but we're going to go ahead and get the best one we can get, which is this one right here. I don't have any priorities yet on what I'm looking for from a belt, but
if you find a bite out there,
if I do, I'll make sure to talk about it. And I'm going to go ahead and take this cold charm. Again, one of the reasons I want to have cold resistance style items, or just anything with cold resistance, is the majority, not all, but the majority of the tough stopping points on this particular act are going to be monsters that have cold attacks. Like, for instance, when we finish the cemetery, that Lackland guy that we saw turns into a big zombie that does cold attacks. And what I'm usually looking for in a charm is I want that, see that second line that I have there, gains 0.15 charges per second. Normally you have to go fill up these things when they get used at the well. But on if you've got that particular affix, then even when you're in like a really long boss fight or something, it's going to be gaining charges. So it'll save your life at certain points. Basically, this gives you 2 shots, since it consumes 40 of 80 charges on use. Gives you 2 shots of super bonus cold resistance. So it doesn't do that on the first hit that you take, but it does that on the second and third hits, and it's a massive damage reduction at 25%. Think of that like the damage mitigation that you see from your resistances. So it's going to stack another 25 on top of that, and it's going to just boost your survivability against cold attacks specifically. I don't think it does anything necessarily against freeze abilities, things that might stun you or slow you down, but it'll definitely help you with the taking of large amounts of damage. Ooh, and this is a cold resistance piece, so again, it may be somewhat inferior to the one that I currently have, in that it takes away from our energy shield, and if that ends up being a problem, we may stow it, but because it has cold resistance, I'm going to value it a little bit higher than I would normally, just in a vacuum. We're just trying to set ourselves up for the best chance of success later on as we progress through this first act. So I guess my revised objective with this video then is to go ahead and get through at least one of the tombs. If we have time to get through both, we won't. But we'll try to get through at least one of the tombs that are on this map. Ooh, and that just dropped. Whenever you see an item that has the little asterisk next to it, that's telling you that it's a slotted item. So that's going to be something, if it's not something that we're going to use, which I doubt it will be, then we're going to make sure that we go to that bench in town and disassemble it so we get the tools to be able to slot something else that we find later that's more powerful. Ah, nothing like finding a yellow that we're not going to be able to use. I was attacking my own skeletal minion there. I was like, oh, I better kill that guy too. Oh, he's mine. Duh. Okay, so this ring is actually pretty good. The fact that it makes our mana flasks beam charges per second is really nice. Except that I haven't found any issues in this game with mana regeneration. There's some points where you learn a new spell sometimes, or a new skill that ends up being really mana intensive. That comes into play a bit more. But generally, at least with an intelligence-based character like the Witch, like you've got such a high mana pool that it doesn't really get drained. Unless you're figuring out some way to use it through some of your talents and stuff, because there is some cool stuff with like an energy shield based build later on where you can draw from your mana pool to do stuff with that. I'll try to highlight it if it's something I end up doing. This time I can't say that would be the thing that we would do, but it might be one of our things that we do once we get into cool, or once we start doing endgame or mid-game style content. I just didn't see any use for it in the early game with my first playthrough. I say that like I finished my first playthrough, I still haven't even finished it. I'm doing the thing where I kind of check out each class as I go. I just have a real bad fear of missing out when it comes to this game because it has so many classes already. Like, we're in early access right now, and it's already got 6 different classes each with 2 different permutations on that, so it's already got essentially 24 classes, and that's 24 very different ways to play. Even though the Ascension classes are still, in essence, like, for instance, they're still rangers in the case of the ranger. How those rangers play and what things they're going to prioritize in their builds are so vastly different that it is very much, it has a feel like you're playing a different game. Because everything that you do is, including choices that you make in the talent tree, is going to be different. Impacted by the choices you make on the class ascension screen. See, we're finding a lot of things like exalted orbs. So you do get a lot of these resources that you need for crafting. Just play the game, and I do have to encourage you to click all the explodable items because they do almost always have something useful. Nope, we don't care about those gloves. If we were an archer, we'd care about this this quiver probably. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. One of the things you want on a quiver is the gain life per kill or gain life per hit, and also just in general anything that adds physical damage. All of your skills as a ranger are connected to how much physical damage you do. So this is a good way to be like good with your with all of your attacks, because what they usually do is they convert your physical attack damage into a elemental damage type. So we'll go ahead and bust these two things, and we're going to get two Artificier's shards. What do they do again? Let's see if we go to our tab here. We plop those in. I had enough. It turned it into an Artificier's orb. So now if I right-click on this, I can put a slot into any item that I want to put a slot into. So theoretically, I know that I'm probably going to keep this ring for a long time. So why don't I just go ahead and put a slot on that right now? Because it's going to... Oh no, I guess you can't do it on oranges. Oh no, I see. You can only put slots on your base slot, base items, not rings and amulets. You might need a different type of thing for that. So we're not going to do that now, but we are going to go ahead and put away this. We're going to put away these thingies here. And then we're going to disenchant the yellow item.
Sorry, I was... Stay safe.
Get those regal orbs. And then we'll just sell the rest of our stuff for cash.
These are just... It's beautiful. I accept.
Yeah.
Bye.
Alright. When you are having issues, I did confirm every time you level up, the vendors change out. That was true in old Diablo too. So if you're ever having issues and you just want to see if a minor bump in your character abilities by getting some better gear will help you, then you can always check the vendors in between. We're not having any trouble right now, so I don't see the need to do that. We're clearing the things pretty easily. We're not, dying all of a sudden. A lot of times as you progress in the game, you're going to find you hit some certain hard spots where all of a sudden, like, you're just dying if you look away for 2 seconds. If that's the case, that's when you want to go and look and see, hey, is there something I can do here? Like, maybe I need to just prioritize energy shield for a minute. Maybe I have neglected my item, my item. That's an easy thing to do. If you're clearing through these levels at an increased clip and you're not really paying attention to what you pick up, then you do find a lot of times you come across something where you just haven't looked at your gear for ages. Quiver. The thing you gotta watch for in this zone is those guys carrying the big tree trunk. They hit like that. All of these little ghouls and ghasts and things are skeletons. They're not really a big deal. They're all easy to kill, especially with the Minion army doing its thing. But those guys, if you get in their line of fire, they do actually do decent damage. Nothing we probably can't handle right now, but are we already full? Yeah, and again, I'm doing this not because it makes a ridiculous amount of money more, but because on the solo self-found we don't have access to our full bank across the entire server. We just have our solo self-found bank, and because of that, like, we start out a little resource starved. Whoops. If you ever, oh whoa. I'm not selling right now. That's good. Well, if you do ever sell something that you don't mean to a vendor, just go over here to the buyback tab. Oh, I haven't sold anything to this vendor, so there is no buyback tab. But usually there'll be a buyback tab right there, and you can just quickly grab it back. So, like, if I had sold this slotted piece, I would have lost my Artificier shards, which are, like I said, pretty hard to come by naturally unless you're actively salvaging. Whoops, there's a good example. So I just sold a couple of unidentified pieces. They got a huge reduction in cost because of that, but now, well, in value because of that. And now I sold them for the proper amount, got my full value out of them. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and fill up at our well. So yeah, even though it takes a dumb a dumb amount of time to do that. I'm going to do it probably until we get around 100,000 gold. Then I might start being a little more discerning with the things that I pick up. And you know, when I'm not doing videos for this channel, my other solo self-found character or characters will be contributing to that bank. And that's a thing. That's the thing that's actually really nice about this game. You know, your progression on your individual character may be limited by the time you play on there, but your overall progression through the economy of the game can be impacted by the work of your entire body of characters. So you're not wasting a bunch of time. So like, even if you're not saving items that you find using your witch for your ranger character or something like that, then you're at least contributing to their ability to do things like, you know, use their crafting resources and buy things at their vendor when you're having a moment of difficulty passing a certain section. That just makes it nice. You're not wasting your time playing other characters in any sort of way. I think that's kind of a hallmark of most MMO and free-to-play games now, is that you can actually sort of invest in your character in a way. And it's not limited to only playing one character all the time. You don't miss out if you go and play a warrior trainer. These shield guys are pretty much the most annoying thing in Act 1. With other characters, they're a lot more difficult because your attacks don't go through their shield, and every time you hit them, they actually do like a, it's not a thorns attack, but it is a magical attack that comes back and smacks the hell out of you, and it's very annoying. Okay, we don't want any of that stuff. We'll go ahead and instead we'll get this. This is our first like really decent, or I guess it's our second really decent boost to the minion increased damage. So now our minions are doing a lot of extra work. You know what I haven't been doing? I haven't been gas arrowing. That would actually significantly help my wave clear, because again, the reason why gas arrow is so nice, even though it's got kind of a low cooldown, is it's going to do a lot of work for us. It's going to be an additional dot that we can put on our enemies. Do I already have? Yeah, I have comorbidity, so we can actually stack that on guys twice. So that gives us access to quite a few damage over time simultaneously on bosses. But that's going to help us. I'd say it's more, in this build, more beneficial directly for solo target, but because it is a cloud of gas, quite literally, it does help us a little bit on the groupings. And you know, anytime you've got a huge group of guys, the combination of being able to poison them with gas arrow and have contagion doing its job is just going to make your life very simple and be able to progress just ever so much more quickly when you're doing that. And I'm not even using my flame wall either, so I'm going to try to do that here in this fight. So we're going to stick some flame walls around our skeletal archers, so that when they attack, they're adding fire damage also to my attacks. And look, my minions are all toast. Very quickly toast. And yeah, every time my skeletal minions get back up, they're getting crushed. So it doesn't matter. See, I had a theory that if you had different minion types, your timer might work a little bit better, but no, it's every single minion you have is on that timer. Whether it's a skeleton, whether it's a archer, whatever it is. So that is really bad. We are doing a lot of damage to this guy. This is impressive to me. When I played this on my newer ranger, this was quite a difficult fight. It took some time, but this was This is quick. I'm sure somebody could do it quicker. Plenty of people could do it quicker. I could do it quicker if I weren't yapping. But that was that. I have to say, based on the number of different classes I've done this with so far, that was a fast time for this particular sort of mission. We're going to get rid of that. Enough space for these Strauss handles here. And we'll go ahead and take this portal back to the cemetery. Looks like we are going to have time to at least give the next mausoleum a shot. It's hard for me to remember how long this stuff took the first time through. Again, that boss was just way easier than I've had it be in the past. Even though my minions, you saw, they were just getting one-shotted by him. They basically just they came on, got looked at, and then plopped right into the ground. I don't think I have anything. Another thing to look for is items that have a quality bonus, because what you get from items with a quality bonus is you'll get, I think it's this one. Oh yeah, no, it's this one. The armor scrap, and yet you might actually get some of these blacksmith things too. But quality, you can boost the quality of an item up to like 20%.
Yes. Please.
And if you do that, it basically takes all of the abilities that are on that item too and boosts them 20%. So anything that it does will be better. You can also use it, I think, to just increase the sell price of items, but that's not really what I do. I don't really see much reason to do that. Alright, here we go. We'll do this other crypt, and if we have ever so slightly enough time, we will also do Lackland, because he is a annoying boss, and that would be a very sad way to start a video. With an annoying boss, we might die several times. I'm gonna try to get it done now, if I can. I'd say out of these two bosses, I think his name's Draven, and she's Asinia. Asinia is the harder one. If your fight with Draven goes long enough, Asinia actually comes and helps him out. You may have seen there was a short burst of 3 AoE attacks that happened during that attack. They come from him calling Asinia in during that fight. That's one of the things that I don't know if any other game has done that, but this game does. But they have a lot of fights in this game that have multiple bosses, or in this case, this is the first instance in this game, I think, where a boss calls in another boss. So it's like a cameo from another boss, and that visiting boss gets to help contribute to the fight. We will get into a really challenging fight during Act 2, where there are 2 bosses simultaneously, and when you kill one of them, the other one gets stronger. So it's like, it's really kind of an epic boss battle. And at the point that I had gotten there, it was probably the most epic boss battle I'd had in any game such as this that I've ever played. I really like the way they do the boss fights in this game. I do not care for the way that Diablo has done it ever since Diablo 3. To me, most of the boss fights they've had in their games have just been about surviving a boss that has super high health and telegraphs all its attacks. This game makes you kind of learn the attacks in a way, and although I'm critical of games like Dark Souls that have really difficult combat, they've done it well here, in my opinion. And, you know, it's just the right amount of challenging, frustrating at times, but not so bad that you get, like, completely locked up and can't progress through an area ever. Like, sometimes you do have to go level up, sometimes you do have to go improve your skill, and all the things you would expect to do in an RPG if you're struggling. But you just I've never felt like I was just completely stuck somewhere. And if I have, that's been the time when I've looked at my build and gone, okay, what do I need to do differently, or what have I not looked after? Like, have I done a bad job keeping my keeping my armor and weapon updated, things that I can change to make the game go smoother for me. So the thing I love just about pretty much all the characters so far is even within specializing on a certain style of play, you still have a ton of different things that you're using regularly. I may forget for an entire level to even use my flame wall, but when I do again, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got this cool flame wall ability that does cool stuff for me. Like, I don't think I've used in the last 2 to 3 minutes, I don't think I've used gas arrow once. If I was having more trouble, I'd probably be doing that a bit more. And, as by the time I get to the end of this act, I'm going to have to be using all of the things. But it's nice to me that you can kind of just not do the same thing and still progress. Because it's really dumb in these games when you're just auto-attacking, How many times can you just run through a level shooting your crossbows and have a good time when it's just, okay, you change the color of the guys that you're fighting, you change the graphical model of the guys that you're fighting, but you're still just left-clicking every time. And this game makes it really interesting. Just one of the cool things that I am doing now with my gas arrows too, when I send them out, is if there's a flame wall over there, then those gas clouds will ignite and do a bunch of extra damage to the enemies that are touched by that attack. Unearth is your kind of go-to spell for popping all these urns and things. And like I said before, you want to pop those as much as you can. They often will have little things in them, like, I've even found things as good as support gems and stuff in there. And then also just all the stuff that you need for your economy, like orbs and augments and things like that. It's not going to ruin your game if you're not opening them, but it's going to help you significantly if you get to add those things to your arsenal. So I am doing my ordering a little bit wrong. I should be gas arrowing and then throwing that wall down, but it's not really a big deal at this stage. See, here's a good fight here where I've just been using all of my different abilities to make things happen. Oh, the one I haven't been using though is Contagion, which is funny because that's probably my most efficient ability. When you've got a big group of guys like this. Man, we're just leveling at a nice steady clip. That's always good. Alright, so this is where we're going to go ahead and do the diversion. We're going to go over here to increase cast speed. We're going to jog over. We'll get this, which is going to be a nice thing because it's going to give us a bunch of extra intelligence. And then we'll get this, which just accomplishes our mission of getting that minion life pushed up and also increasing the speed at which they come back when they've been dispatched. Here we go, we got our boss fight. Fantastic. A lot of times when I was playing solo, I would go ahead and search the entire map and just get all the loot and all the experience I could from the map. So on this playthrough, we are definitely going to be kind of speeding through it at least a little bit. We're not going to spend as much time trying to do each and every piece. So we're just trying to keep our DOTs up on her. There's not really much use to casting on her, although it is a high damage dealer, but I think dealing with chaos damage is probably a little bit better. So there's that AoE attack that she contributes. She will actually summon Draven too, but I have a feeling she's going to die too quickly for that AoE to affect us here. Oh, this is working again. It used to be that you could just roll through the spikes there. So they must have done that in a patch. They must have fixed that in a patch or something, because that was pretty gnarly. How she just completely killed us. I didn't realize that she was going to get to do that attack. Otherwise, I would have tried to do something better.
Oh, show me your power. dear sister.
Alright, we'll lay down the gas cloud. That gets poison on. She's got 2 poisons on her already. Oops, I shouldn't have gotten hit by that. Just gonna keep our dots active as much as we can. Hit her with the poison gas cloud. Ignite that poison gas cloud. Yeah, oh, this is not good. So I gotta watch. So there is a way to get out of that bone prison, and it's gonna be very important to make that happen the next time I get stuck in it. It's funny, I was just talking about how, yeah, her life total is dropping, and this fight is easier than it's been in the past. And then I went and got myself completely killed. I think we're going to be okay. She does a lot of chaos damage in short order. So that's what we gotta look out for. Her ability to just hit her really quickly. That's what you gotta do. You do have to, if you attack the bone flex, you can get out of that bone trap that she does. There we go. We got our memorial piece. We got a bunch of items. Most of these are not really important. We'll go ahead and ditch some white items and the blue ones. Because they're definitely going to be worth more. White item. Oh, you're huge. Get rid of that crude bow. Oh no, we're going to take the crude bow because it's got a slot. Alright, there we go. Oh, I guess we have a, yeah, we have a cemetery. They turn this portal here. So then we'll go back to town, do the things that we do in town, and then we'll make our way to Lackland and try to fight Lackland, and then we'll be done. So we did actually accomplish our mission of trying to get this entire sort of chapter of the game completed. And then when we come back, we'll be able to start doing the Ogam zone. I think the Hunting Grounds is the first one. Hunting Grounds has a boss that's fun and interesting, and it has Freythorn, which is a zone that has another boss that's fun and interesting, and should give us some ways to sort of enhance our character a little bit. I just saw out of the corner of my eye, we've got a tiara here that gives us some increased energy shield, which is great, but it gives us +1 level of all minions. So that's interesting. We do have to give up our current thing, this hewn mask, but that's not really that bad. Dexterity is not a key thing for our character. +1 level to our minion skills is going to affect our snipers. It does increase their spirit cost. It's going to affect our skeletal warriors, and it's going to affect our unearth summon. So it's going to just bump up all of our stuff, like, quite a bit. Let's see what our max life on our skeletal warriors is now. Skeletal life, max life, almost 200. So 182. If when they die they're dealing a 15% damage explosion to things, then that's what doing the math, 18, 9, so 27 damage every time they die to everything around them too. And that's fire damage, so good stuff. We like that. That's good. And then, oh, what's our sniper life looking like? Sniper life 113. We don't really care about that. Our sniper damage, though, 81 increased damage, shield duration, command. Where's our damage? It doesn't actually say how much they damage. Does it? Maybe if we go here to gas. Okay, attack damage 70%. 70%. So my damage, I guess, my DPS. Oh boy, I don't even know where that is. Ooh, it's saying. Ooh, we shorted ourselves on dexterity, which means that there's 2 pieces here that we're not able to utilize right now. That's a problem. That's one reason why this hewn mask was good for us. So these aren't even being counted. So we're not getting our cold resistance here, and we're not getting our increased movement speed. We need a way to fix that, and we just don't have it yet, unfortunately. That's a bit of a problem. See, normally what I would do later in the game is I would just say, okay, what's the least important one of these that we don't need, and we'll just, like, we take away the reduced cast speed and maybe just grab this attribute node temporarily to fix that, because I do want to use this. I do really want to use this tiara. But unfortunately, I think that given the situation we're in at the moment, we need to keep this 5 dexterity more, because we don't want to give up the benefits that we're getting from 2 pieces of equipment over that. What I am going to do, though, it seems to me like the +1 level to all minions is somewhat rare, and I do like the energy shield on that piece. I'm going to go ahead and save it for later, and hopefully we'll get the ability to bring that back into our
Sorry, I was
character
makes fun of my collection, but I think it's
build
charming.
here. Okay, we already did
It's
that.
beautiful. I accept.
Okay, and let's
Stay
do this.
safe if you can.
Cha-cha-cha. So we are going to go ahead and see what we can do with the skill gems real fast. Bone Cage I've heard is really good. Wait, no, not Bone Cage. What's the thing? Bone Storm I've heard is really good. We're very interested in getting that, but since our primary means of trying to do damage is the Contagion ability, we're going to go ahead and upgrade Contagion. Oh wait, no, we want to get Arsonists. I forgot. We definitely want to get Arsonists. And then we can put their thing, Explosive Demise, on a thing. We'll go ahead and one less Skeletal Sniper. And let's read about the Arsonists real quick. They're a bomb-throwing, reviving skeletal arsonist that can detonate minions. So detonate minions. So the cool thing about this is a combination kind of skill. So if we detonate one of our skeletal minions with the skeletal arsonist using T, then first off, it's gonna proc, I think, minion instability as well. Not proc's not the word. So minion instability is going to hit. But then, unless I'm incorrect, we're also going to do the damage from that skill. I'm holding Alt so I can check this out. So we're also going to have an 8% crit chance to deal 17 and 25 fire damage on top of the minion instability, I think. Oh, I guess that's just baked into this skill already. Anytime we get a minion under 100 life. So we can't do a full health minion. 2-meter explosion. Ah, here we go. Additional effects from quality. Deals additional fire damage equal to 0 to 4% of minion's max life. So I don't think it actually stacks additively with minion instability. I wonder if I can throw this on there. So I could throw this on there, and then it is adding to the thing. I had to look that up and see if that's a thing that we would want to do. And I don't. Oh, actually, I think the minion instability would affect the arsonist. So I think you want this on your highest life minion. So I think the warrior is the place you want it. So the only thing I don't know for sure is if we get to double dip on that. So that's an interesting thing. I'll be looking that up to see if that's a thing. Gems. So one thing that we'd like to have is maybe something that boosts the poison from our skeletal sniper. And I think what I'm going to do, but the only problem is we don't want more dexterity skills at the moment. Let's look at we want intelligence and strength skills if we can get them. So, so let's see what choices we have. We could put brutality on Earth. There's nothing wrong with that. So what it does automatically is it gives you suggestions. And, you know, these are probably going to be very good choices. But if you're leaning into a certain playstyle, what I would recommend doing is at least looking at the other stuff that you have as options. I do think right now brutality is my thing that I want. Decaying Hex is really nice. What do we have that's a curse skill? Contagion considered curse? No, it's an AoE. Curse. projectile. We don't have a curse yet. We don't get one until level 5 or so, so we're not doing that. Clarity, double barrel, deep freeze, corrupting. Oh yeah, we don't do war cries at all. And venom supports any skill that hits enemies, giving it a chance to poison enemies. So I'm thinking that's the one that I want. The only problem is we can't do dexterity right now. So elemental army, that would boost our resistances on all of our guys. More skills, more execute. Heightened curse. This is not considered a curse, is it? I don't think it is. Lacerate, lacerate. Huh. I want to do this. I want to see if we can give our skeletal warriors that. And so one thing you can do when you hover over it, it doesn't do this in the main in that menu there, but it does do it when it's in your inventory. It'll tell you what skills on the right there that this can be added to. So we could even add inflict bleeding to our primary ranged attack if we wanted it. And I would say if we were going into a boss fight, we might even do a little bit of hocus pocus. Like what I want to do is I want to put this on the skeletal warriors for when I'm doing wave clearing, because they're probably going to be hitting more often than I am, to tell you the truth. But when I go to bosses, I might come in here, take this thing out, throw it into essence drain, since my skeletons are going to be spending a lot of time dead. That seems like it would be a pretty good idea to try that. And as a matter of fact, since we're about to go into a boss fight, we're going to try that now, see how effective it is. So yeah, let's check that out. One thing I do want to mention, you can only have one of each support gem equipped at a time. So I can come in here and I can make another support gem, and I may even be able to make another lacerate. Yeah, I'm gonna just do that. But when I make that lacerate, I cannot equip this one unless I take this other one out. So I can't have lacerate on 2 different abilities. So that's one of the only limitations I see so far in the way this game functions, is that they definitely do not allow you to like double up on really crazy cool abilities like that, because that would get out of hand really quickly if like everything you're doing is 100% bleed and stuff like that. But yeah, so we're gonna try that. You know, one of the things I am gonna do is I am gonna figure out, since I have so many extra support gems from my other character, I'm gonna figure out which ones I want to throw on this character, and I may do my next video may be just talking about those enhancements instead of me flapping about and reading everything on camera. Though I'm gonna prepare that ahead of time and then just go through a 10-15 minute video describing what I've done. You know, we may just do an under the hood build guide real quick on that next video. And basically that's gonna set us up for how we're gonna progress to the rest of this act, and hopefully set us up to have a good start at the beginning of Act 2.
The family of Count Lachlan of Alderman. My family.
So we're gonna lay down a gas arrow.
They're dead. Those bastard Eternals. I must make them pay. I must make them suffer.
Lay down a gas arrow. Ignite. Put our contagion on. This guy does a ridiculous amount of cold damage. I cannot tell right now. I don't see that the bleed is happening with my attack. I did not do a good job of paying attention to when I could use Explode Minion. Apparently I'm able to use it even on the guy that because I just did it just now. With success. I have no minions over there. Yeah, I can't tell whether we're getting a blade icon, a bleed icon or not as an additional thing. Now that only happened because I was too busy focusing on what was happening with the boss, like with the dots and stuff. I had either applied or not applied. I'll try to do this for real now without chatting. This should be relatively easy for us because we do so much damage at a distance. And with dots. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but dots is damage over time. Anybody that doesn't speak nerd. Not all of us do. We're just making sure we've got our poisons consistently activated. One of the things you gotta watch out for on cold style bosses is when they leave chill on the ground. Most of these bosses, that chill effect does do a mild damage over time, and the main thing that damage over time does is it prevents your energy shield from recharging in this fight. Oh, don't die. Dodge that attack just ever so slightly. I'm not even sure if we're getting the bleed from this attack. It could be that bosses have a resistance to bleed too. I haven't read if that's a thing or not. There, he's dead. We've managed it. Alright. Just took us 2 tries. We got Count Lackland's ring. We got some good stuff here. So we'll just head back to town, set ourselves up for our next video next time. We got slightly better cold resistance on this piece. I'm hitting Alt and I get my item level. I have a much better item level on this. Plus it also is armor and energy shield, which I think is better for our character than just evasion rating. We also removed one of our dexterity requirements from trying to use this, and we boosted our cold resistance only by a point, but now we're getting to the point to where maybe we can use that minion skills thing that we wanted to use. Level 3, we don't have anything that we want right now, so I'll go ahead and boost up Contagion to level 3. That's going to just bump up the amount of damage it does by a significant amount. It does increase its mana cost too. We're going into the hunting grounds just to tap the waypoint real quick too, and then go back to town, wrap ourselves up, and then I'll probably spend some time working on the leveling build in my break, in the time when I'm not recording, to see what how best to improve our early game minions and wave clear abilities. I was limited with that in our earlier thing because this was my first solo self-found character, so I didn't have all those support gems just sitting around, so I couldn't do it yet. So I didn't spend any time thinking about it because I couldn't do it anyway. I find that the support gems are the hardest things to find until you really get going. The further you progress in the game, drops like that happen a lot more frequently. Early on, you know, before level 20 or so, you only get 1 or 2, maybe, per zone. Blah blah. Whatever. Oh, Una, you got something to say to me too? Oh yeah, right. We get to wake up the hooded guy. That's happening because of the item we got from Lackland. So now this guy is going to handle our identifying. So when I do find scrolls of wisdom, I'm going to start stashing them into my stash. And it's just going to save our gold economy just ever so slightly. So now we could refund passive. So like I could go and make sure that I can equip that piece. And I think it is worth it right now to go ahead and sacrifice our progression, which is funny. This now makes it to where it would be equal to go on the over to get over to this ability. Oh yeah, we put it in our box, didn't we? Let's go here, put it on, and then we have no competing issues with our stats and abilities. We're going to disenchant the yellow That's a decent piece. It's giving me 2 evils. Yeah, that's nice. If I were leveling another ranger right now, this is class. That's really good. My current ranger, my lowest ranger is on Act 2 anyway.
Thank you.
So it's not really something I care about right now. I've probably got something better, but like I would have killed to have that to start off my character because of all the extra little bits of damage it's doing. Alright, so that's it for now. When I come back, probably the first thing again that we're going to do is talk about how we're going to improve our skills across the board here so that we can do a lot more damage with our build and level very quickly and progress. Thank you for joining me. I'm Kirby the Streamer. Make sure to leave comments, make sure to subscribe, and thank you for stopping by my little channel.